some of the topics that we've discussed in our enterprise user group in the past to Paxton and John, some of the things around messaging, around, of course, use case for AI in the technology space, and then some of the topics that we've heard you speak on before as it relates to enterprise users, since this group is focused on enterprise use case. So I kind of wanted to just let you guys take it and run with it, give us an update of where we're at, where we're headed, what we've achieved, and then everyone feel free to pop in with chat. I did just start the recording. I'm sorry I missed it at the beginning, so we didn't get your introductions, but we will have this recording available of the nitty-gritty details that we get into. So John and Paxton, thank you again for being here. I'll just hand it over to you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let me just lead it off, because I think snark aside and word cloud aside on not AI, I do want to give maybe a 2-3 minute overview on why you're seeing our interest level in AI, and a lot of our communications around AI and the future of AI and CX, where we're actually making investments and how those investments will bear out. And then maybe I'll hand it over to Paxton and the group to talk about, well, that's not all we're doing, and we have some massive improvements in the core product and a platform that we think address a lot of the needs of enterprise. Then we can go back and forth in a dialogue. So let me just talk on the future of Zendesk and AI really quickly, and sort of clear the air there, and happy to take some dialogue and push back on that, but I'll give you our perspective. So look, we are in the middle of a gigantic industry shift. Like, you may believe that AI is a certain percentage hype, or it's not necessarily going to deliver on all of the outsized claims. I tend to be with you there as just a general skeptic. However, I am seeing an incredible amount of adoption, progress, and great customer outcomes in our customer base, in real life use cases, in companies of all sizes today. And so I know that the future of the CX world is AI powered. And I want to bring that down into 3 specific pillars for you. One is in automation. So you'll see us put this stat on stage. I firmly believe in it, that over the course of the next couple of years, we will get to the point where 80% of customer service interactions, those that we define as customer service interactions today, will actually be fully automated. Like, will happen without a human agent working on those particular interactions. Now, that may seem inflated. That may seem seem to be a stat that's full of hype, but we're seeing automation rates push up and up and up in companies of all sizes. 20-30% last year is becoming 40-50% this year. I do believe we'll get to an 80% automation rate. Does that mean that 80% of human assisted service just disappears overnight? No, it doesn't. Every time we introduce a CX, a new innovation in the way that customers communicate with companies, volumes go up. When we introduced email, volumes went up. It didn't replace phone. When we introduced chat, everyone wished that chat replaced their phone volume because phone volume is expensive. It didn't happen. Your overall volumes went up. So as it becomes easier to interact with companies, we expect volumes to go up. And we think AI will actually have a pretty major impact on volume. So if 80% of customer service is automated, volumes go up. That means that the humans who are actually doing work have a sort of different job, and we'll be dealing with a different category and a different class of interaction. So automation is pillar number 1. We bought a company called Ultimate. We are taking our existing bot and our knowledge and our help centers and our messaging entry point infrastructure, and we're pulling them all together. And we believe we will be the platform that powers that 80% automation across the industry. That is a massive focus for us, and that gets translated as AI. But I think you have to think about that as helping achieve that 80% automation rate across the industry. The second pillar is, what is the future of the agent experience? We have a great agent interface today. It's one of our core competitive advantages. You may have nitpicks with it, but overall, trust me, across the industry, we believe we deliver the best agent experience possible. Paxton and Co will talk about all of the great, amazing updates we're making to that to make it more enterprise ready and more flexible and more, let you bring in the things you need to bring into that experience. We have to think about, what is the future? So what is an agent's job in the future, and what is the interface they use to achieve that job, and where does AI fit into that to make better outcomes for customers? And so the trend for the agent interface and the agent workspace has been, well, let's get more context in front of the agent, which means more panels and more complexity and lots of more data and more integrations showing up to the agent. Oh, and also let's make sure the agent has access to click around and actually take actions on, in e-commerce, maybe it's an order return, or in a B2B scenario, maybe it's maybe it's some sort of, complex logistics thing that has to be worked out. I think that trend is actually going to start to come back the other way, which is, well, wait a minute. Instead of putting all of the information in front of the agent and having them sort it out, instead of putting all of the actions in front of the agent and having them sort it out, they can actually be presented with the exact right information at the right time and be presented with the action and basically become an approver of context and actions and conversations with customers. And that actually slims down the agent experience, because you don't need 100 panels. You need the right information right in front of the agent at the right time. And so that's what we're working on. When we talk about agent copilot and agent assistance, that is the future we're building for. And then the third aspect is, in customer service operations, the third pillar, the customer service operations, we have all the data in the world. We know exactly what customers are saying about products. We know exactly what customers are saying about their experience. We need to, in an automated way, bring that back into the process through quality monitoring, quality management, core workforce engagement management. We need to say, here's the conversations that are going well with automation. Here's things that could be automated that aren't. Here's things that you're automating, which actually would have a better outcome if they touched a human, and actually just be really smart about optimizing CX operations. So when you see us talking about AI, it's because we fundamentally believe these three things are going to be very different in the near future: automation, the future of the agent experience, and how an end-to-end quality managed solution can make customer outcomes better. So that was longer than 2 to 3 minutes, but that is really the vision we're working on here at Zendesk, and that's why a lot of that translates to, hey, we're doing a bunch of stuff in AI, but it's actually about the changing industry and the changing role of automation and changing role of the service agent. So I'll pause there. Paxton, you want to jump in and talk about enterprise-related stuff?
Yeah, actually, John, I think I can riff a little bit off of the framework that you've put in place, because, again, automation is a big part of what we're trying to enable for customers moving forward, and AI ML is a big piece of that. But like foundational to being able to deliver that automation is the ability to access different data sources and to be able to easily integrate data from, your internal systems that may be, kind of homegrown developed systems or standardized systems of record. And, historically that has been a big focus for us. And I think we really made some major strides over the last year with some of the work that, Ashwin and team have been leading with respect to custom data. I think over the years, we've had various mechanisms and means for integrating into different disparate systems. And in some cases, maybe we've had too many different disparate ways to do that, and not one consistent, easy standard for integration. That's what I am really excited about, and an area that we're going to be getting much more precise and focusing in on over the next year, actually the next 2 years, is essentially providing you all with a very straightforward low code, no code mechanism for integrating into different systems, and having that data be present for these automations, these AI ML driven kind of automations that we want to enable you to introduce into your operational workflows. I mean, the idea is to enable you to be able to, kind of selectively automate those workflows that, again, are great candidates for getting human agents out of the way of, or getting human admins and internal personnel out of the way of, because, again, there's an understood workflow. There's efficiencies that can be realized. There's cost reduction that can be realized. So there's a lot that you're going to see from us over the next couple of years in terms of tooling, in terms of really straightforward mechanisms for integrating into different systems, off-the-shelf connectors into these different systems, tooling in terms of, again, low code, no code abilities for admins to be able to manipulate and define those integrations and orchestrate those workflows. That's something I'm super excited about. Also, yeah, just to kind of build on what you were talking about in terms of improvements to, both the agent experience and the admin experience. I mean, I definitely want Rachna and Zach and Amisha to kind of highlight some of the things that they're working on, but it's all about efficiency. I feel like we've gone through different generations of improvements to our agent experience, to our admin experience. And some of the things that are starting to come out now in terms of new agent home, in terms of specific, kind of experiences for admins to better manage the workforce. Obviously, the additions that we've made to our portfolio with TimeShift and Klaus, workforce management, QA, all of those things, and then building a really straightforward, intuitive admin experience that incorporates all of those capabilities is something that we're heavily investing in. So, I think it'd be good to maybe, kind of drill in a little bit on these. I definitely want to make sure that there's time to kind of do some Q&A. But Rachna, can I maybe lean on you next to just kind of top line some of the agent experience improvements? And then, we can obviously, kind of have some conversation with the folks here and answer any questions.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm going to underscore some of the things, John, you and Paxton mentioned. So, all said and done, making sure that agents are satisfied, are able to offer the best in class customer service, and are as productive as they can be are goals that we are always striving towards within the agent experience team. And when we think about our roadmap, our roadmap is essentially twofold. It involves strengthening some of the core workflows that Paxton was talking about, things like agent home, making sure that agents have a way to centrally access a work list in a prioritized manner so that they are not going hunting for tickets. We've made significant strides in improving our read write experience and that continues to be an area of investment for us. Solidifying some of the things like our notifications engine are all things on our roadmap that strengthen our core workflows. At the same time, we are leveraging AI as much as we can to build for the future that John was talking about, and evolving the agent experience so that agents have the information contextually. So it's not about surfacing everything to agents, but making sure agents have all the right information at the right time so that they are able to keep up with the response times. And when John talked about the 80% automation, the 20% that comes to the human agent is now going to be more complex and high value tasks that agents are serving for. And so we need to make sure that we are still keeping up with the metrics that matter to you, the response times, the satisfaction levels, and so on. In terms of AI, if I could touch a little bit upon the features that we are actively working on, things like helping agents get a gist of the ticket very quickly by offering summaries, helping them craft responses faster with creating responses, leveraging your knowledge and macros, and helping them enhance their writing, helping them change the tone of the message, giving them access to similar tickets. And in some cases, even having agent be an approver are all capabilities that we are actively working on. So I'm super excited about how the agent workspace is set to evolve. And yeah, it's about strengthening our core plus riding that AI wave, which is the future of the customer service industry.
Do we want to do some Q&A, Tiffany? Is there a mechanism where and Nick, where we could kind of field some questions and?
Yep, we've got a few in the chat actually. I'll go ahead and pop in. I see that John was able to respond to Nick's question on, is Zendesk differentiating between generative AI investment and more machine learning or operational AI to help reduce operational overhead for Zendesk and agents? And John put a pretty good detailed response in there. We definitely do this today. Did you want to speak to that a little bit more, and we can let people read the transcript if they'd like, or hear it audibly?
No, yeah, I'll just say that the short answer is yes. I mean, a lot of the Zendesk AI capabilities today are using traditional ML models, and this gives us a lot of flexibility and the ability to train them, actually fine tune them, beyond what's available in public models, and then, allows us to deliver, things like data locality within our podded architecture, allows us to, operate them internally versus relying on a third party, allows us to deliver, faster speed, lower latency, better performance, cost, all that stuff. So we are definitely committed to working with traditional ML models where they work. So intent, sentiment, language, entity detection, these are all powered by standard ML models. Over time, LLMs may just become the way you do these things. So I'm going to leave that open to say maybe all LLMs all the time in the future, but we'll continually evaluate that. I think for us, one of the things we're focusing on right now is just the ability to use any LLM we want and not necessarily be beholden specifically to, we get great results from OpenAI and GPT-4 and GPT-4o. We were able to switch workloads to GPT-4o the day it was released. That was really exciting for us. But, if there's a Anthropic model that comes out that we can run in our infrastructure on Bedrock and AWS, we'd like to be able to switch workloads to that very quickly too. So we're doing a bunch of investment there just to make ourselves LLM agnostic, so we can choose the right model for the right use case, for the right performance profile, for the right cost profile. So just a lot of work going on internally on these things.
Awesome. Nick, any follow-on questions on that, or shall I move on to the next one?
No, I think that's a great answer, John. I've been spitting out questions for all the PMs as I'm thinking of them. I figured, John, I've seen some of the investment in both sides of the AI conversation within Zendesk. That was a great elaboration, so thank you for sharing.
All right, next one up for Ashwin. What's your thoughts on when an enterprise user should adopt custom objects, or do you have any really cool use cases you can share? I love the idea of the feature, but I've been struggling with finding a use case at Pinterest for it, given we've built a lot of upstream connections that do the aggregation of data objects pre-post ticket creation.
Makes a lot of sense. So I'll talk through the common use cases across 4 different categories, especially from an enterprise customer standpoint, right? One is the simplest use case, wherein I have a catalog of things. It could be a service catalog, it could be a product catalog, where there is a huge list of products or services that I'm offering to my customers or to my internal employees. And I want to capture metadata associated with that product so that I can easily route the ticket or build some cool reporting around it. So that's the simplest one that you can think of. Then as you increase the complexity, right? So the next problem statement that we see is, hey, how do I ensure that my agents can see all their information in one single view, build a 360-degree view of the customer or the organization. This includes objects like your contracts, your customer entities, their entitlements. And why do I want to bring in all that information? I'll be able to build workflows and reporting using that information. So the whole point of bringing that information is the ability for me to build automations and workflows within Zendesk itself. Third set of use cases. These are the more powerful use cases like asset management or internal use cases wherein you're trying to build an end-to-end solution beyond just tickets within Zendesk itself. A lot of our customers have external asset management solutions where they're actually storing their assets, their devices, all of that stuff. You have the opportunity to model those things within Zendesk and increase the value of Zendesk by bringing in all that information. So that's my third use case that that you can think of. And the fourth one is the case management use cases. So you have returns processing, warranties, your service orders. These are all complex workflows that our customers go through. It involves multiple tickets, multiple touch points, and you want one single pane of glass in terms of where that particular return is or where that particular service order is. Creating it as a custom object and enabling tickets to point to it actually makes the whole case management experience really easy for your agents. Actually, last week I was talking to a customer who wanted to build in a service order use case within using custom objects, and there was another customer who was trying to build in a permit processing for one of their city things. So you can build a lot of these use cases, but in short, like I have 4 use cases. One is the catalog use cases. Second is the building of 360-degree view of the customer. Third is around asset management use case, and fourth is around case management use cases, which is around returns, warranties, and all of that good stuff. And one thing that we are doing later down this year is we want to make it easy for our customers to think through this. One of the pain points that I sub-read through your question, Nicholas, is, hey, I have a lot of use cases that I have in mind, but I don't know how to go about building that. So we want to make it easy for our customers to go through this end-to-end journey of building their objects, building their workflows, building reports around it in one single onboarding experience, and that's something that we're working towards as well.
That's fantastic. I think the thing that I personally struggle with is, like, before custom objects existed as a concept, I've had to go out and build connections to, say, Salesforce or NHTSA or my asset management tool and all these other things. And there's just a lot of logic and custom code that sits on top of our support tech stack that kind of replicates what you're building right now. But I think if you're earlier in that experience or earlier on in your journey of, like, not having to deal with 2 decades of tech debt, I love the idea of centralizing Zendesk as your primary repository for not just customer service data or customer support data, but your assets, your contract, kind of like similar to like what Salesforce does with their custom objects and those relationship databases there, because I've also spent way too much time in Salesforce, but similar mindset there. Random side question for you, Ashwin. Do you see any customers using custom objects as adding like another tier of organization? So, like, let's say EMEA or US, or like, and having those relationships to like this larger, like adding more tiers to the default org user ticket structure within Zendesk as these relational data points?
I see lookup relationships being used more, right? So effectively, I've got a parent organization that I can associate to, and I can build. One of the features that we're releasing actually today is the enablement of placeholders to go in and get information of the parent organization in my placeholder itself. So I think I see more of lookup relationships being used than custom objects. Given the fact that you have an organization object, might as well relate them to one single, relate in that way. But I do see some weird use cases where customers are using the object for the custom scenarios, wherein I'm creating this sample pseudo user and manager within Zendesk itself and creating the hierarchy separately. But I wouldn't recommend that. I would still want our customers to use the standard objects that we have, build relationships and hierarchies using those capabilities that we offer.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Jamie also has a comment. Oh, go ahead, Paxton.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say there's a really good question about Agent Home that Zach, I think it'd be good for you to talk a little bit about in terms of our plans around that as an affordance versus views. I know you've been working quite a bit on that.
Absolutely. We're really excited to explore what those differences are. What we have today with Views specifically, Views is an incredibly powerful, essentially query engine for all of your tickets that worked really well for almost 15 years of Zendesk history, right? And as what we saw is this conversation, channels started to shift for customer experience, customer expectations began to change, and we continue to introduce new rich capabilities into Zendesk. That Views began to bump up against some problems that customers are facing in terms of how can I get real-time updates to the work that I'm getting? Can you eliminate the need for me to refresh this experience? Can you please give me more data about what's going on with messaging and help me understand where my customers are and what they're doing? And can you make me more efficient and give me more interactions? And that's what led to the exploration of what you have now as the work list in Agent Home, which is real time, which is geared toward messaging and helps you understand where your customers are. Are they idle? Are they active? Are they typing? Are they, what's happening next in my workload? And ultimately, what will unlock additional use cases in the future as we look at making this conversational and helping agents intuitively get more efficient with read and unread indicators, the ability to keep up with all my collaboration, not only CCs and followers, but side conversations and more.
Yeah.
And most importantly, how can we help agents manage more conversations at scale? Messaging increase the concurrency of conversations that all of our agents are having, from 2 to 3 to maybe up to 5 for a lot of customers, 6, 7, 8. As we get into the world of agent as approver for AI actions that John alluded to earlier, that concurrency is going to increase substantially. And we want to give an interface and an affordance for customers to manage these conversations at greater scale. And that's a problem that we'll be solving with Agent Home. So you see this now as more of really the inbox experience for agents, where Views is a powerful query engine that maybe my power users can use. I can use it for issue management and tracking, backlog analysis, a lot of those higher level activities. Agents will become productivity powerhouses with this inbox-like experience. So that's where I would say that these capabilities are going to start to differentiate and specialize.
So excited about that, Zach. Having been a Zendesk user for almost 12 years now, that home screen has been underserved, is how I'll put it politely. And I'm so excited for this UI update. When I first saw it, I was legitimately excited. Even though I don't do tickets anymore, the implication of investing in that, in more of that pane of glass for the agents and that live information is massive. And I'm so excited to see kind of what you come up with it now that there's attention being given to it. Going back to tech debt strategy, that was a huge thing for me to see, like, oh, cool. Yeah, very much something that's been around for 10 years with no changes, finally getting some updates and finally getting some love and attention to the point that I will now people to actually help people to click on the home button and not just skip over the fact that it's there when they log into Zendesk, which I think is great.
I did go ahead and enable Thomas, so if you'd like to come off mic, if you have any additional questions, it sounds like Zach might have answered your initial comment.
Yeah, I basically got the full answer. Thanks.
Okay.
I was just wondering, in extension to that, I see a lot of Zendesk features currently being innovated on, like Agent Home, like all the reporting on QA, etc. But on the same time, kind of an overlap there. Is the idea that like you get multiple choices, like I do want to do reporting and exploring QA, I want to manage my tickets in Views versus Agent Home? Or is it a story where, like, in the years or through time, it's going to converge into one solution for each one of those? Sorry for throwing the question in, maybe.
Let me jump in, and then Caroline, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about Explore, but look, I think, being a company, we have, almost $2 billion in revenue now. We have hundreds of thousands of customers. We don't really, and particularly the enterprise group should really care about this, is, we can't just change the entire experience for all customers all at once, right? So oftentimes when you see these things, what you're seeing is, hey, Agent Home is the future. There's no question. But if somebody liked the way that the one button worked in the upper right of the old Agent Home, I can't take that away from them until Zach has made it, has gotten us to feature parity, and then we go through an EOL process and all that stuff. So I think a lot of times when you see these things, you're just seeing us build the future, release it alongside the present, and then ultimately one day, the future Pac-Man eats the pellets and we move on. I don't know why I did a Pac-Man thing there. I don't know. But I think, then there's the other concept, which I think I'll let Caroline jump in on, but, we have lots of different reporting engines now. Part of that, but guess what? 4 or 5 years ago, we had 4 or 5 different reporting engines, and we consolidated them into one. And I think, you go through periods where you're developing rapidly, you're innovating, maybe we do some acquisition, and, the first move isn't consolidate reporting, but over time, we want to build the best customer experience possible. And if that means, consolidating reporting, or if that means having different areas of the product where you access data, we're going to figure out what that move is, and we're going to make sure we build for that appropriate future. Caroline, you want to jump in on any of that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think you summarized there. I think we're very cognizant of the fact that there's different jobs to be done for these different elements, right? So when you're in Explore, you're doing something different than when you're in your capability and doing something there. So you want to be doing a different type of reporting capability. In WEM or in your box, you're looking for different information. What we are very conscious of, to your point, Thomas, and you asked that, there are some key metrics that you might want to see around, like agent productivity as an example, or ticket lifecycle, where you should go to one place and see that. And we have this vision that you'll be able to see that those key metrics surfaced in one area. It's not to John's point, like our thinking right now isn't about like how do we build out this mammoth reporting experience. It's about how do we make sure that the reporting capabilities, especially in Explore, are serving what you need for that particular use case. So agent productivity, so that you don't have to go into WEM and do a deep dive about that. So as you're looking around your whole operations, you have those key metrics surface there. So, to John's point, that takes a while. We have things that you guys don't need to care about as part of acquisitions, and making sure systems work cohesively, and we have things like that. So we want to make sure you can access those new products without any problems, and think about a reporting holistically. But that doesn't necessarily mean as one experience.
Great. Thank you, Caroline.
Awesome. Our chat is exploding, and thank you everyone for going and putting replies on the specific comments. Having a little trouble keeping up myself. So for those of you who are listening at the same time as reading, is there anyone else who wants to be added to presenter mode so you can come on and ask those questions specifically or get more clarity on the responses that you're getting in the chat? Dan had requested. So Dan, did you have a question for the team?
Yeah, I did. So one of the most exciting things I think I've seen from Zendesk in recent history is custom objects. It's opened up a whole bunch of ideas for things that we can do to get customer context and build workflows to kind of take away some of the tedious parts of workflows or support. Conversely, one of the most frustrating parts about it is getting data into these custom objects and then being able to keep it up to date from other sources. So for where I am now and the previous outfits I've been, that's always been Salesforce. I've gone down the road of making custom Salesforce middleware. This way madness lies. I was wondering, could you tell us a little bit more? There was mention of no or low code integration options, and if there's any plan to be able to have that behave with custom objects. My dream would be able to sync assets from Salesforce into a custom object on Zendesk, so an agent can have a representation of, here's a customer's instance, it's a prod instance, it's version X, everything that we need, and then we can start building workflows around that, and then actually be able to leverage AI workflows because it has that data in Zendesk. Today, if we were to try to implement AI, it wouldn't have that context, and we'd probably wind up with artificial incompetence instead of intelligence, and would probably turn our customers off of the idea of interacting with the bot. So I'd love to hear more about that if it's something you can share.
Yeah, so why don't we start, Ashwin, why don't you talk a little bit about how we solve for this today, and then I'm happy to kind of like really briefly kind of talk about like what we're envisioning, for the future.
Absolutely. So one, Dan, we have two different ways of like integrating external systems into Zendesk today. One is obviously the data importer piece that we release, but then again, that's not really an integration. It is more of like a CSV bulk upload, which can help you create new records, update existing records, or we have a upsert capability as well, create or update capability that we released recently. The second one is we have a huge list of APIs that you can integrate with. But all of this, again, you're absolutely right, that requires a bit of coding, and you need a middleware to actually build all that integration. And yeah, that's where we are at this point, but I'll let Paxton chime in on the future of it.
Yeah, I talked a little bit about this in the chat. We've been spending quite a bit of time looking at what is state of the art right now in the iPaaS kind of solution market, and obviously there are a lot of companies that have like focused exclusively on this problem of kind of getting data in and out of systems, authenticating into those systems, automating kind of the kind of the migration of data back and forth. And we have been specifically kind of looking at how do we need to modernize that on Zendesk. And so, yeah, the vision here is that we want to make orchestrating all of that very approachable to non-technical admins, and basically give kind of non-technical admins a very straightforward experience of being able to either avail themselves of existing connectors that our platform supports into different systems of records, or being able to kind of peer into custom systems and do that in a very straightforward way, very much in the manner that you're seeing done in some of the more modern, successful iPaaS platforms today. So that's essentially where we're heading. That would be a solution that it benefits not only custom objects types of implementations, but also the workflow automation scenarios that John kind of led with and started to talk about. Because for each of those automated workflows that we want to put potentially an AI agent or bot in front of, they obviously need to be able to leverage data from different systems in order to power those workflows. And so this is an area that we are very, very committed to. We see there's an opportunity for us to differentiate Zendesk pretty considerably in this space. Again, kind of holding to our whole heritage of making this very intuitive, very easy to use, non-technical, low TCO, not requiring a ton of external integrator resources or technical resources in order to kind of implement this type of a solution.
Awesome. Allison's comment actually very much goes along with what you're saying, Paxton. More accessible to non-technical admins would be my big ask for anything. So often I'm asked, can we do XYZ with Zendesk? And I have to answer yes, if you give me an API developer, and then questions get dropped. I have the same experience in our organization. We've got a team of system admins who are non-technical, they're operations minded, and they help out. So we love that to hear low code, no code direction being one that you are following for sure.
I would love to get connected with anyone here on this call around specific use cases like this, where you're trying to kind of drive some level of integration between Zendesk and some other system, and again, kind of running into there's only an API method to do that, because this is specifically what we're trying to kind of diagnose right now and building our plans for. So I'm pcooper@zendesk.com. Please, send me anything that you have in terms of use cases, specific scenarios that you're running into.
Awesome. Thank you. I hear a future meeting topic evolving here.
Send me an email after this, Paxton. I've got some ideas.
Love it. Please. Yeah.
Oh, Nick, you always have ideas.
The burden of experiencing too many either last mile problems or pain points in the platform. But that's a good thing, because I've also seen a lot of those pain points being taken care of, fixed, resolved in my tenure.
Hey, I think Dan had more to say on that. Am I reading your window correctly there, Dan?
Yeah, I had a really quick follow-up question, and maybe it's more of a business strategy question, or there could be a technical side of things. Is wading into the iPaaS space is a pretty big departure from what Zendesk typically does. Is there a plan to differentiate the effectiveness, or like why would it be better than a Zapier or Workato that is dominating that space right now, that would make people want to maybe rip and replace existing platforms and move to Zendesk's?
Yeah, so to be clear, I think what we're seeing is that more and more, in order to have a very effective customer experience, kind of customer service operation, even prior to this focus on AI ML automation, you still needed to have very easy access to different data and systems and have that data power your operational workflows. So I think the way that we think about it is that data integration is a pretty critical requirement or foundational element to customer experience. And particularly as we, you've probably heard us, kind of talk also about the fact that we're building for employee service use cases, internal use cases, internal department use cases. All of those workflows do require data integration, workflow orchestration. And so for those reasons, that's why we're kind of taking a hard look at these capabilities and trying to determine like what we need to add to our platform. I don't think our goal is to, necessarily replace any sort of existing iPaaS investments that a company has. It's more so to provide those capabilities, those affordances that we're seeing are just kind of core requirements to delivering modern CX, particularly when you talk about, the whole context of AI and ML automation. Does that make sense?
It does. Thanks. Thanks, Paxton.
Awesome. I want to be mindful of time. We have about 3 minutes left in our scheduled meeting time. We've had a lot of great topics in chat. I found one that does not have a response from Jamie. Speaking of the mobile app, are there any plans to bring side conversations into the mobile app?
I'll save everybody on this call from stumbling through that, since I don't think we have anybody on here that represents mobile. A short answer is we definitely have the request, and I was looking through our user voice, and it is tagged as roadmap. That doesn't mean we're going to deliver it tomorrow. Our investments in the mobile app are, I think for anybody who uses the mobile app knows that we release things in the core product experiences first, and then over time they migrate into the mobile app. Actually, the opposite of that, I think, was dark mode. I think we got dark mode out in the mobile app first, and I know I saw a lot of questions on that in the chat. And we will get that into the core agent experience, by the way. And so there's a long list of roadmap items there. I think we'll ultimately get things, like a better home experience into the mobile app, bring more ticket types, including side conversations, into the mobile app. And I think, maybe as a follow-up here, we can have somebody that represents the mobile roadmap come through and give you some ideas of what's coming next.
Thank you so much, John. On the topic of follow-ups, we are in our last minute. For all the PMs, because they won't let me share this in chat. As a follow-up, I'd love to send out any EAPs that you guys would like to have us join or have feedback on, if you have any that are currently open. So after this call, I'd love if we could get like an EAP from any or all of you. This is a good group to get feedback from if you have any upcoming ones. I think, Tiffany, that'd be a really good thing for us to send out as a follow-up for this, is any cool enterprise EAPs that you all want our feedback on, so we can give back to you like you've given back to us in this meeting.
Awesome. Great idea, Nick. Definitely, we will send a follow-up with that information once we gather it. And wanted to remind everybody, you can go to the user group page and click on Contact Us, and that email will be sent to Nick and I, and we can send it along to the appropriate person if you had questions that were not answered or you want anything expanded upon. And we do have monthly meetings like this. Let us know if there are other PMs or other Zendesk team members that you would like to hear from. We really do like having you guys. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and sharing where we're at. It's very, very good conversation in the chat. I think it'll take us all some time to unpack everything that was conversated on. I think I just made up a word.
I want to just thank everyone for joining and for your participation and for your, honesty and openness and transparency. I think we should all get very comfortable with each other, and call out where there's dissonance and where you'd like to see more from us. So really appreciate the engagement and the transparency. And I look forward to having conversated with you all again in the future.
You all welcome anytime. Appreciate everyone on the Zendesk side that came in, everyone who joined the user group meeting today. Thank you all for attending. We'll have to do this again real soon.
Next month even.
Next month even.
All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.
Cheers, everyone.